Hey, welcome to Dave's Killer Kitchen. It is wintertime, and what better way to warm up in wintertime than with a little gumbo. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little chicken and sausage gumbo. You also might refer to this as gumbo yaya down in New Orleans. But we're going to get it going today. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cook our smoked sausage. Any good smoked sausage will do. Use andouille down in New Orleans, but you don't have to. A lot of times I'll use a different kind of sausage, or even a turkey sausage or a light sausage. But today I got some regular smoked sausage, and I cut it up pretty thin. Still got a little bit of fat in there, which is good. And what I'm going to do is we're going to add this. It's about a pound, a little bit less than that actually. We're going to add this to a heavy pot that I got some olive oil in that's already hot. And what we're going to do is brown this up. And then once it's done, we're going to remove it from that pan there. And we're going to get going by making our roux, which will help thicken this up, adding our vegetables, our seasoning, and then we're going to add the sausage and chicken back in here, along with our chicken stock, and we'll have some gumbo when we're all done. Back in a little bit. All right, so we've been cooking the sausage for about 10 minutes now, maybe a little more, 15. You can see it's got a nice little bark on there. It's been cooked down. I'm going to go ahead and get this out, just putting it right back in my bowl with a paper towel there to drain some of that oil off, but I don't want to drain it all off. What we're going to do in a minute here is I'm going to take the oil that's in the pan here, because it's got some, it's going to be some good oil. It's got some of that fat from that sausage and everything else. But I'm going to reserve that and use it to make it my roux. So I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to get something so I don't burn myself, and dump in this measuring cup. Really only need probably about 2 ounces, maybe about 2 tablespoons of the oil to make the roux. But I'm going to just measure it out in here, and then we'll kind of go from there. Save that. And if I need more oil, I'll just go ahead and get it. But put that in there, put our pan back down, and get our stuff together to make a roux in just a minute. Hey, welcome back. All right, so time to make our roux. Our roux is our thickening agent for the gumbo. So it's very common. I think you're going to find a roux in almost pretty much every gumbo. All a roux is equal parts of oil and flour. Okay, so we got our reserve here from our the oil that was left over from cooking the sausage. There's still even a little bit left in the pan. But I'm going to get about 2 tablespoons in here. And there's 1. And there's 2. It came out about exact, so we lucked out a little bit. It's spitting a little just because of some water in there, a little left over. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our equal parts of flour. So there's 1 tablespoon of flour, and there's the 2nd tablespoon of flour. And now we're going to whisk this. The longer this sits, the darker it gets. We'll start off a light brown, eventually it'll get darker brown, eventually even turn to a red. I suggest doing it with a longer whisk than what I'm using. This is the only metal whisk I got. But you will burn yourself. It will spit back up and get you. That's why I put the glove on. So I'm going to get this going here. Kind of get this going all around. And just keep whisking. Makes a god-awful sound. But you see how light that is now, and as it sits here over this heat, it'll just start to get a little darker and darker and darker. So really what it comes down to is what color do you want your gumbo. If you want a little darker color, then you just do it longer. Eventually, after about 6, 7, 8 minutes, this will even start to turn a reddish color. And what I'm doing too is I'm trying to scrape up some of that stuff from earlier, because there's a lot of good little brown pieces in here from that sausage, and we want to get those in here. So once we get this going, we're going to add our trinity. All the trinity is sometimes called the Cajun trinity. It's celery, peppers, green pepper, and onion. And it's about a cup each, so I got about 3 cups there. And so just a little bit longer, and then I'm going to dump this in. And after that, we're going to get to our spice mix. So dump that in there. And that's going to get all kind of incorporated in. And you'll see this start to thicken up a little bit even with these vegetables in there. So it kind of just disappears and goes away, but what we're really doing is all that's getting coated with the onions, the peppers, and the celery in there. So we're going to get this going for about 5 minutes. I'll keep stirring it. And then I'll come back and I'll talk a little bit about our spices that we're going to dump in there. And then we're going to add our chicken stock. And then we can add our meat back into it. We'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, so our peppers and onions and celery's been going for about 5 minutes here. We're just kind of softening this up. Now that it's gone for a little bit, I got 1 clove of garlic. Just going to run that through my garlic press and get that in. You don't want to do it at the same time you put the Trinity in to begin with because it'll burn. We only want this to go just a little bit. And it's sitting on top, so it's not even really cooking at this point, but we're going to mix this in just a minute. Get some of that garlic out from in there. It's always good to have garlic. Put that to the side. Mix that in. Now I'm going to go over and get my spice mix. Okay. Usual suspects for a gumbo: red pepper, white pepper, which is very common in Cajun and Creole cooking, black pepper, a little bit of oregano, a little bit of thyme, a couple bay leaves. What we did is we did 2 bay leaves, and I always start with about a 1/4 teaspoon of the pepper. So a 1/4 teaspoon of the black, red, and white, and then about a 1/4 teaspoon of the thyme and the oregano as well, and about a teaspoon of the salt. And always add more later. I start light on the pepper, then I dial it up. The longer this stuff sits, the hotter it's going to get too. So I just dump my spices in there, and now I'm going to mix them in here. Let this go for another minute, and then what we're going to do, you can see this is kind of cooking down a little bit too. It's still got that texture and thickness to it from the roux, from the flour and everything. I do kind of want to marry all this up. And then I'm going to come back and I'm just going to dump my sausage in there from earlier. Some of that sticking to the paper towel. We'll get some of that off. Marry all that in. Okay. And then I got some chicken from earlier. I'll talk about this real quick. I cooked a whole chicken this morning. All I did is put it in some water, and I made chicken stock with it. So we picked apart probably about 2/3 of the chicken, just picking off the meat. But I made my chicken stock. All I did is boil the whole chicken with the leftover pieces of the carrot. Not the carrot that's in here, no carrot in here, but with some carrots, celery, onion, bay leaves, a little bit of thyme. And I'm just going to take it and add it. It's going to be about 4 to 5 cups is my guess. All I want to do is just get this covered. We'll see what that looks like. I might need a little bit more, but you probably need, 4 to 5 cups. You can see the bunch of stuff that was on my spoon is coming off now. We have all this married together. Mixing in, and then just let this sit. Let it do its thing. Okay, the longer it sits, the better it's going to get. Do this in the morning. It'll be great by dinner time. I'm going to get it to a boil here a little bit, then I'm just going to turn it down as soon as it gets that boil, turn it all the way down to low, and we're just going to let it sit. And probably 2-3 hours, we'll have some dinner. We'll have some gumbo. All we're going to do with that is take it and pour it over some white rice in a bowl. It'll be the perfect thing. Throw in a little hot sauce or whatever else you want with it, and you're good to go. There's the chicken and sausage gumbo. See you in a little bit. Alright, our gumbo's been going for about 2 hours now. Typically I might do it a little bit longer than that, but it's looking good. I got my spoon here. I'm just going to go ahead and stir this around a little bit. You can skim that fat off if you need to. And that roux that we did doesn't thicken it up a whole lot, just a little bit. Just a little bit to tighten it, because we're going to pour this over some rice, which we got going now too. But I always go light on the salt and the pepper to start with, because you always can add, so I just need to taste a little bit now. And that's tasting pretty good, but it does need a little bit more salt, so I'm going to go ahead and just add it. I'm just going to shake some in here. Again, I did a teaspoon. Normally, if you were to go in and read one of the recipes, you probably need about 2, but I try to go light. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit in here. And it's got a little bit of heat. I did a 1/4 teaspoon of each of the peppers, black, white, and red. So it's not terribly hot at all, not terribly spicy. If you want to make it a little more spicy, you can add a little more red pepper. And I might add just a pinch right here. I'm going to do that. And add just a little bit. and stir that back up. And we'll let this go a few more minutes while we're cooking our rice. And then we're going to serve up some gumbo over some rice. Be back in just a minute. All right, our rice is done. We're ready to plate this up. We got our gumbo bowls. We say so on there. Take a little bit of rice. Put it in our bowl. Take some gumbo, stir it around. We added our salt. We add a little more pepper. Red pepper, that is. Get a little bit of juice in there, a little bit of that meat. And there we go. There is a good bowl of gumbo. The only final thing we need, Crystal. You don't see that too often. Louisiana's pure hot sauce. It's made in New Orleans. It's all they use down there. Spice that up a little bit with some of that, and we're good to go. Hope you enjoy it. See you later.